A surveillance video shows that around 1 p.m. on August 22nd, a shop in Chaozhou, Guangdong, had their goods placed outside by the roadside for sale as usual. A crowd began gathering on both sides of the stall, consisting mostly of middle-aged and older people dressed like migrant workers. Suddenly, this group rushed forward and began grabbing the items from the stall. The shop staff quickly alerted the owner, who, along with several employees, ran out, shouting and trying to stop them. However, the crowd still took the goods and scattered in all directions, ignoring the staff's efforts. Some internet users speculated that these people weren't just passerbys, nor were they acting on a whim. It seemed like they had been waiting there. Interestingly, they didn't steal the nearby food, but instead targeted boxes stacked on the side. This led to speculation that the incident might be related to a Chaozhou custom during the Ghost Festival. Every year during the Ghost Festival, which falls on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, Chaozhou holds grand rituals to honor ancestors with offerings of various foods, including beef and lamb. They also fill boxes with food for people to grab as part of the custom. Let's take a look at this year's Ghost Festival in Chaozhou. Notice how fierce these older men and women are. A little girl in a pink dress kept getting pushed aside by the older woman, and every time she managed to grab a box, it was snatched away by the older men. In the end, a young man filming the scene noticed how sad she was and kindly gave her a box. Even then, one of the older women nearby tried to snatch it from her. The Ghost Festival rituals aren't even finished yet. The incense is still burning, but people have already started frantically grabbing the food meant for the offerings. The scene is quite disturbing. Internet users commented, "Have the people of Chaozhou really become this desperate? Are they now fighting over food that was offered to spirits? How could they even have the nerve to eat it?" It seems that the culture of grabbing things has become a trend in China, starting with snatching free food, then looting items from overturned trucks, and now even escalating to outright robbing stores. This video shows that on August 20th, around 1:40 p.m., a group of people attacked a shop and snatched goods from outside the storefront. From the footage, it appears to be a grain and oil store. Some people grabbed large boxes of goods, others carried off 2 big containers of cooking oil, and someone even took a huge bag of rice. They snatched the items and ran. The shop owner and staff quickly chased after them, and fortunately, since they were in a group, they managed to recover most of the items. Some are saying that this is the beginning of a $0 shopping trend in China, a sign that social unrest may be brewing. These people, they claim, are the underclass thugs nurtured by the CCP, and now they're turning against society. In a China where morality is rapidly declining, many people lack not only personal ethics, but also public decency. For instance, a Chinese woman boarded a flight with an economy class ticket but found it too cramped and wanted to move to first class. When she was refused, she questioned the flight attendants, asking why she couldn't sit in first class if it was empty. A few days ago, on a flight in Chongqing, China, a young woman in a purple dress, traveling with her child, boarded a domestic flight. After being seated, the child began crying uncontrollably due to the cramped economy class seats, and then ran to the first class section. The flight attendants asked the young woman to bring her child back to their assigned seats, but instead of addressing the situation, she questioned them, asking if there was space in first class and why they couldn't sit there if it was empty. When the attendants repeated their request for her to return to her seat, she simply sat down in the front row near first class, ignoring them completely. This altercation caused the flight to be delayed by an hour. Her behavior also infuriated other passengers, many of whom urged the crew to stop talking and remove her from the plane. Social media users sarcastically commented, "Isn't the view from the cockpit even better? Why not sit there?" They compared her demand to sitting in an empty mansion or using money that's just sitting in a bank, saying, "Just because first class is empty doesn't mean you can sit there without a proper ticket." If this had happened in the US, this family would have been removed from the plane immediately. A woman on a Chinese high-speed train captured footage of a misbehaving child sitting near her. In the video, the woman filming explains that the child in the neighboring seat kept kicking the back of the seat in front of him. Meanwhile, the child's mother was absorbed in her phone and showed no sign of stopping him. While people often excuse children for misbehaving and attribute it to the lack of understanding or discipline from their parents, which reflects poorly on the parents' ability to teach social etiquette, what if the behavior comes from older individuals? On August 19th, a woman on a high-speed train from Beijing West to Sanmenxia, Henan, recorded an elderly man behaving rudely, which sparked widespread discussion online. In the video, the elderly man had removed his shoes and socks and was vigorously rubbing his feet on the seat. The woman filming found this behavior extremely uncivilized and wanted to report him to the rail staff. Unable to locate any staff members, she decided to record the incident instead. One commentator, who works as a train attendant, expressed shock, saying, "I'm amazed. After passengers get off the train, I have to clean up the crumbs and debris left on the seats by hand." Other users share their own experiences of similar uncivilized behavior they've encountered on planes and high-speed trains. Many people suggested that women traveling on high-speed trains should bring disposable seat covers, especially if wearing short skirts, shorts, or thin long skirts, as it's easy to pick up infections from such unclean surfaces. A man selling disposable seat covers commented, "The seat covers on high-speed trains are only replaced every 180 days. I've seen too many people picking at their feet on these seats, and I wouldn't even dare to zoom in with the camera. There's a lot that you don't see, so I strongly advise all women, especially in summer, to avoid wearing extremely short skirts or shorts on high-speed trains or in public places like movie theaters. Also, if you're traveling with children, pay close attention to hygiene issues." There are many inconsiderate people on high-speed trains, but this case was particularly bizarre. On August 2nd, a video was posted on Douyin, Chinese TikTok. In the video, a man sat in the middle seat of a 3-seat row on a high-speed train, using the tray table to play on his phone. A woman who had booked the window seat asked him to let her pass to her seat, but he refused to move.
Excuse me, if you're like this, how am I supposed to get to my seat?
What's the problem? The train isn't mine. I'm just sitting in my seat. Is there an issue with that?
You're not wrong, but I need to pass by your seat to get to mine.
How you get past is your problem, not mine. Are you stupid? Unable to resolve the situation, the woman sought help from the rail police. However, they could only relocate her to another seat as they couldn't compel the man to move. On planes and high-speed trains, it is a universally accepted practice that passengers in the aisle seats must stand to let others pass to their seats. It's a standard rule that doesn't require explanation or justification. It's puzzling how this situation escalated to needing intervention from the rail police simply because this one man refused to move. One internet user commented, "Why does this guy seem so full of rage?" There's a perception that modern Chinese people are quick to anger, with arguments escalating into physical confrontations over minor issues. Yet some still adhere to the old Chinese saying, "A gentleman uses words, not fists." Two Chinese men on the subway got into an argument for an unknown reason. Their method of confrontation was quite unusual. They started blowing air forcefully into each other's faces. Netizens jokingly refer to it as firing mouth cannons. In Chinese, mouth cannon originally refers to someone who makes empty or meaningless statements merely to satisfy their own ego. These two men on the subway perfectly demonstrated what a real mouth cannon looks like. We've seen many similar videos in the past where middle-aged Chinese women not only act opportunistically, but also display extreme greed. In Jinduzhen, Jiangxi, on a hot summer day, volunteers set up a cooler by the roadside with free water. The sign clearly indicated that the water was for sanitation workers, traffic police on duty, and delivery drivers working in the heat. A woman on a moped approached the cooler, taking 2 bottles at a time and continuing until the bag on her bike was full. Unsatisfied, she took the water home and returned with a larger red bag. She began filling it with more bottles. Just as she was about to take even more, a man intervened and stopped her. In a public restroom in mainland China, a woman dressed in red was caught unrolling a large amount of toilet paper from a wall dispenser. Despite already having a big roll, she continued. A man with a red armband, possibly the restroom manager, noticed and questioned her. Rather than feeling ashamed, the woman confidently argued with him. "What are you doing?
What's it to you?
You're taking toilet paper after using the restroom?"
So what if I'm taking some paper? What's the big deal? It's not your paper, so why do you care?
"This is public property. If you take it all, there's none left for others."
It's public, so why can't I use it like anyone else?
Another man dressed in black stepped in to scold the woman, and she turned her argument towards him, becoming even ruder. "The staff didn't say you couldn't use it, right?"
Where did you even come from? What business is it of yours?
"Look, it's public toilet paper. You can use as much as you need here, but taking it with you changes the situation. That's stealing, don't you know?"
Oh, whoa, stealing. Go ahead and arrest me for this lousy toilet paper. Go ahead, lock me up.
As she argued, she continued rolling the toilet paper. It wasn't until the man said he was recording her that she finally stopped. Grabbing the huge roll, she attempted to leave, but the man blocked her, demanding she return it. After he threatened to post the video online, she finally threw the roll back at him and stormed off angrily. Social media users commented that she had no shame doing such an immoral thing while confidently arguing back. She seemed to be truly an unstoppable woman, and it's not just middle-aged Chinese women who are tough. The middle-aged men are just as fierce. An internet user posted a video showing a white-haired elderly man kicking the seat in front of him on a train. Apparently, the man was unhappy with the angle of the young man's reclining seat and demanded he put it upright. "Who said you could recline this seat?" "What do you mean? Who said?" "It's my right. What's the problem? Aren't you reclining your seat too? Why don't you put yours up?" The elderly man continued kicking the young man's seat, and the last kick nearly landed on the young man. At this point, the young man couldn't hold back any longer and stood up. "Are you crazy?" "You're the one who's crazy." Netizens commented that the person behind the old man should kick his seat too, since he's reclining as well. This behavior just sets a bad example. What are people like this teaching the next generation? In another video, a young lady on the Shanghai metro was sitting in a seat reserved for the elderly, disabled, and pregnant, with her belongings placed on the seat next to her, preventing anyone else from sitting down. An older woman pulling a suitcase approached her and said,
Young lady, could you please move your things? If you don't, I'll move them myself. You are young. This seat should be for elderly people.
But the young lady ignored her and continued playing on her phone. In another instance on the Shanghai metro, a woman was sitting in a seat with one leg propped up on the seat next to her, effectively taking up 2 spots. A man yelled at her to put her leg down, but she didn't budge. The man then tried to pull her leg down, and when others around saw what was happening, they got up and left. The woman responded by putting both legs up on the seats. Some Chinese people not only behave poorly within the country, but also take their bad habits abroad, giving China a bad reputation worldwide. Years ago, Chinese scholar Yi Zhongtian said that modern China lacks both public and personal morals. China was experiencing what he called a moral sandstorm after thousands of years of cultural heritage. Looking at the current state of China, moral decay is happening from the top down, starting with the government and spreading through society from groups to individuals. A special commentator for Voice of America and senior research scholar at Stanford University, Wu Guoguang, published an article in May this year. Wu wrote that China is experiencing a widespread social collapse. He argued that this collapse is deeply rooted in the totalitarian political system of the CCP, where politics take precedence over everything else, shaping all aspects of society. China, with thousands of years of civilization, was once known as a land of etiquette, but in just a few decades, the CCP has managed to destroy the foundation of an entire nation, from its culture to its people. The Great Wall, once the most brilliant symbol of China's civilization, has now become a crumbling feature under CCP rule. How much longer can this decaying regime last? At the Badaling section of the Great Wall in Beijing, a man was taking a photo with his wife. He struck a pose, one hand on his hip and the other resting on the wall, trying to look cool. But as soon as he applied a little pressure, the brick started to shift and nearly fell out of place. The man was so startled that he grabbed the brick in a panic, his face filled with fear. After all, this is an imperial site, and being accused of damaging cultural relics could land him in serious trouble. Later, the media interviewed the man, and he said he just wanted to lean against the wall for a photo, but didn't expect the brick to move when he put weight on it. He was so scared that he immediately reported it to the staff. The wall's management told him that luckily, that part of the wall had undergone modern repairs, so it wasn't classified as damaging a cultural relic. Internet users commented that buildings constructed by the ancients have stood the test of time and remained intact. Many battles have taken place there, and the Great Wall has suffered extensive damage. Now they've restored it to look nice, but a simple photo almost destroyed it. Has even the Great Wall turned into a tofu dreg, or a poorly executed project? The Badaling section of the Great Wall was built in 1505, during the 18th year of the Hongzhou Emperor's reign in the Ming Dynasty. It's the earliest section of the Great Wall open to the public and remains the best preserved and most famous part of the Ming Dynasty's wall. In the 1980s, the CCP launched a large-scale public fundraising campaign to restore the Great Wall, one of the largest fundraising efforts since the founding of the People's Republic. Donations came not only from within China, but also from overseas companies and individuals. On November 22, 1984, Japanese newspaper Chunichi Shimbun donated 1 million yen to the campaign committee. In 1987, at a reception for the China-Japan Friendship Mutianyu Great Wall Marathon, Japanese honorary advisor Ryoichi Sasakawa announced a donation of 5 million yen to help restore the Great Wall. He said that the Great Wall of China is not only a valuable asset for China, but also a cultural treasure for the people of the world. He wanted to make a small contribution to preserving this world cultural treasure. One wonders how today's patriotic Chinese people, who frequently stir up anti-Japanese sentiment, would feel about the Badaling Great Wall being restored with Japanese donations. What would those generous donors think if they saw the state of the Great Wall today?